Let me ask you something. If I told you to always rejoice, to never stop praying, and to give thanks in every single situation, how would that hit you? What would that make you feel? Overwhelmed? Maybe it sounds impossible to you. I mean, at first glance, that's how it sounds to me. Because when life is falling apart, the last thing I typically want to do is rejoice. When I'm buried in busyness or pain, prayer usually isn't the first thing I go to. But check out what this verse actually says. 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18. Rejoice always. Pray without ceasing. Give thanks in all circumstances. For this is the will of God in Christ Jesus in you. Now, this might sound impossible, but here's the surprising thing. This isn't just a nice, idealistic command. It's actually a super practical framework for how we can live with deep joy and connection with God. And so today we're going to break this verse down. We're going to look at what Paul meant in each of these commands and why this isn't as unrealistic as it sounds. And then we'll look at how we can practically live this out in our day-to-day lives. Now, the first thing we need to understand is that 1 Thessalonians is not just a book. It's actually a personal letter that the Apostle Paul wrote to a young church whom he deeply loved. And Dr. Tom Constable says that Paul had three main goals in writing this letter: to encourage this church's progress in their faith, to correct some false rumors about himself, and to give practical instruction for spiritual growth. And that last one, that's where this verse lands. Paul is giving them a baseline for what it looks like to walk closely with Jesus, no matter what life throws at them. And that's not just for them 2,000 years ago, it's actually for us today. Throughout this passage, we see a brief series of commands that cover the basics for Christians living. These are general commands that are not just useful to the church in Thessalonica, but also for us today. And these aren't just random suggestions, but they're practical habits that can transform your life and your faith. If you understand and follow these commands, I believe your life and faith will grow and you'll be able to experience the joy that God has for you. So let's break down each of these commands. Starts off by saying, rejoice always. And Paul gives this command about 70 times throughout the New Testament. But here's what makes this one radical. He's saying it in the middle of suffering. And this isn't like a fake it till you make it kind of joy. It's not about putting on like a plastic smile. It's about anchoring your joy in Jesus and not your circumstances. You see, for Christians, joy isn't rooted in what's happening around us. It's rooted in what Christ has done and the hope of what's coming. Next, Paul says to pray without ceasing. And at first glance, this might sound like Paul wants us to be praying 24/7, but that's not what he means here. He's talking about cultivating a rhythm of prayer, a posture of constant dependence and communication with God. It's about talking with him throughout our day. That includes some big prayers, but also like one-sentence prayers and even silent in your head prayers. It's about staying conscious of God's presence in your everyday life. And next, Paul says, give thanks in all circumstances. And I want you to notice an important distinction here. Paul does not say give thanks for all circumstances. He says in all circumstances. This is about trust, that even when life is hard, even when it feels chaotic, even when it seems like everything is out of control, we can thank God because we know he's working this for our good. We might not be able to see it now. It might feel like everything's falling apart, but God promises his people that everything is actually falling together in his plan. Next, Paul says, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. Paul ends this verse by saying, these aren't just good suggestions, they're God's will for every follower of Jesus. In other words, joy, prayer, gratitude, these aren't like optional extras. They're core practices of a Christian life. Now, these commands are simple to understand, but they can be really hard to put in practice. So I want to give you 3 simple practices that you can try out. And I want to challenge you to try these out this week. It will be difficult, maybe unnatural for you at first. It's going to feel like going to the gym for the first time in a long time. It might be a little painful. But after some time, you get used to it and you start getting in better shape. And I think that same principle is true in our faith. The more we practice these things, the more our faith will grow. So here's 3 ways you can start living this verse out this week. And the first way is this: find something to rejoice in every day. Listen, there's always something good around you. We just usually miss it. So every day I want to challenge you to name 3 things you're grateful for. And it could be as big as a breakthrough or as small as a good cup of coffee. And write those things down and thank God for them. And the more you practice this, the more you'll notice the good things throughout your day. And the second way you can apply this verse is to practice short prayers throughout your day. You don't need a 30-minute block of silence to pray, although that's great too. You can also try quick one-line prayers. God, help me as I walk into this meeting. God, thank you for the sunset. God, be near that person that I just drove past. God, help me with fill in the blank, whatever you're going through in your life. This is how you can learn to pray without ceasing, by weaving prayer into your normal, everyday life. And the last way that you can apply this passage is to find new ways to connect with God. To rejoice and give thanks in all circumstances, you need to stay connected to the one who gives that joy. So find new ways to connect with him. That can look like anything. Try taking a prayer walk, try journaling, try painting, try a new devotional, write out your prayers as poetry. It doesn't really matter what it is. Just find ways to connect with God. He's wired you in such a unique way. So leverage the way he's wired you to connect with him in that way. And my encouragement for you would be to experiment until you find a way that keeps you grounded in God's presence. I don't want this verse to just be a nice thought for you. I want to challenge you to actually do it. So here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, list 3 things you're grateful for every day. Pray 3 one-sentence prayers throughout the day and end each day thanking God for one hard thing he's using for your good. Do that for a week. And then come back, send me an email, leave a comment, and let me know what you noticed in your life and your faith. This is how you start to live out 1 Thessalonians 5:16 to 18. It's not about perfection. It's about building rhythms that keep you close with Jesus. And if you're looking for more ways to grow your faith, I'd encourage you to grab my free 10-day devotional on the Beatitudes. It'll help you take the life that Jesus has for you and go even deeper. You can download it by clicking the link in the description below. And tell me in the comments which of these 3 practices you're going to try first. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.